Welcome back, everyone. Before we dive in, make sure you drop your thoughts and the lessons you took from this story in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's get into it. I was washing dishes on a quiet Wednesday evening when my fiancée, Renee, decided to announce the most arrogant declaration I had ever heard in our 3-year relationship. We had been arguing about her spending $1,200 on a designer handbag when we had agreed to save for the wedding. I figure it was normal couple conflict. She did not. She placed her freshly manicured hand on the counter and stared at me like a judge delivering a sentence. You know what, Jordan? I could replace you in 24 hours. There are men lined up waiting for me to be single. You should be grateful I even chose you. I turned off the water, dried my hands deliberately, and said calmly, "Prove it." She laughed. The same careless laugh she used when she felt invincible. "What?" she said, chin tilted, daring me to back down. "You said 24 hours. Prove it." I repeated. "We're done. Your clock starts now." I checked my phone. 7:23 p.m. Wednesday. Her expression changed in quick succession. Confusion, amusement, anger, and then that particular brand of smug confidence that had convinced me to ignore red flags for years. "You are bluffing," she said, following me as I walked toward the bedroom. "You would not leave me. You cannot even match your socks without me." I pulled out the suitcase. She kept pace with me, narrating all the ways I would fail without her. "You do not even know the streaming passwords. Your mother likes me more than you. Good luck finding someone who looks like me. I am the one who helped you get that promotion. You are literally nothing without me." That last line made me pause, not because it hurt, but because I could hear that she believed it. I folded shirts, rolled jeans, and kept silent. 3 years, and everything I cared about fit into 2 suitcases and a backpack. She kept talking. I kept packing. I texted my friend Jerome to ask if I could crash at his place for a few days. He responded within minutes. Of course. But what really changed the moment was a different notification. Serena, Renee's best friend, the one she always spoke about as the untouchable model friend, texted me. Serena, and I had always been civil but distant by design, because Renee made it very clear Serena was off limits, even for casual friendship. The message read, "I heard you were single. Renee is already posting. Are you all right?" I typed back, heading to Jerome's. She gave me 24 hours to be replaced. Then I stopped, deleted it, and wrote, "Come to your place instead? We should talk." Serena opened her apartment door in sweatpants and a loose sweatshirt, her hair in a simple bun. She looked nothing like the curated photographs Renee used to flaunt. She looked real. "Before you say anything," she said, stepping aside so I could enter, "I have to tell you something I should have said 2 years ago." She pulled up a text thread with Renee from 2022 and handed me her phone. I read in silence. Renee had joked about keeping a dating profile, hidden but active. She had complained that I did not fund extravagant trips and insisted she was only with me until she found better. She had bragged about adding herself as an authorized user on my credit card for the points. There were several messages about a backup plan. A man named Spencer, kept lukewarm, just in case. "Why did you not tell me?" I asked, throat tight with a complicated mix of anger and relief. Serena looked genuinely pained. "I tried. Remember that dinner where I kept saying you deserve someone who actually appreciated you?" She threatened to start a rumor about me from college if I said anything concrete. It was not true, but she had screenshots she doctored. I knew she could make it messy. She hesitated, then said quietly, "And I've been in love with you since that first night at my birthday party when I introduced you to her. I told myself she would be better for you. I was wrong. I slept in her guest room that first night. We talked until 4 in the morning, not about us, but about the 3-year wreckage she had watched from the sidelines. She showed me journal entries she had written about wanting to tell the truth, but fearing that it would only make Renee more vindictive. She told me how she had tried to nudge me away from bad patterns without breaking an unspoken code. I listened. The clock ticked. I realized I felt a sensation I had not felt in a long time. Quiet. The 24 hours began with Renee posting a deliberately posed photograph with a caption about being single and ready to mingle. She collected hundreds of likes and scores of messages within hours. By midnight, she had uploaded videos from 3 different bars, asking where the real men were. The clips grew sloppier and sloppier. Around dawn, She matched with more than 30 men on dating applications and posted screenshots boasting about options. Serena received everything through mutual friends and forwarded it to me not as entertainment, but as documentation. It was not amusing. It was sad to watch a person spin out on purpose. By late afternoon, Renee took a man named Reggie back to her apartment. He looked like a personal trainer who sold supplements from his trunk. She recorded the broad plane of his back and wrote, "Upgrade already." By early evening, Reggie was gone. She posted and deleted a crying selfie, followed by a quote about knowing one's worth. Then came the frantic calls and messages to my phone from multiple numbers. First triumphant, then pleading, then angry. I blocked each one. The 24-hour window closed at 7:23 p.m. the following day. At 7:24 p.m., Serena posted a simple photo of the two of us eating sushi. The caption read only, "Good company." My phone began buzzing relentlessly. Renee called Serena first, screaming. Serena put the call on speaker. "You backstabbing woman. He is mine," Renee shouted. "You ended it," Serena said calmly. "We are eating dinner. That is all." "I did not end it. I was upset, and you know the code," Renee said. "Respecting people is the code," Serena replied. "Not treating them like placeholders." Renee hung up and immediately began posting a smear campaign, claiming Serena had stalked me for years and ruined our relationship. She tagged many of their mutual friends. She created a highlight reel titled "Betrayal." She sent me a message, "Your little rebound will not last. Serena only wants you to get back at me. She has been with half the city. You fail my test." Her mother, Carolyn, called me soon after. "Jordan, sweetheart, what is this about you abandoning my daughter?" she asked, voice full of injured dignity. "She said she could replace me in 24 hours, I said. I took her at her word. That is just how she expresses anxiety." "She did not mean it," Carolyn replied. "She posted a photograph with another man that same evening," I said. "She is grieving," Carolyn insisted. "Take her back." "No," I said gently. "You will never find another woman like her," Carolyn said, and I answered, "That is precisely the point." She hung up. The next wave arrived hard and fast. Renee called my company to report that I had been harassing colleagues and stealing time for dates. The flaw in her plan was simple. I work from home, and my manager is my cousin Christopher, who has known me since I was 5. He called me laughing so hard he had to catch his breath. "She told our general inbox you have created a hostile environment," he said. "You have not been in the office in half a year." We documented the call and moved on. Then came the public performance of healing. She posted several long captions about moving forward after emotional manipulation. Her friend Brittany recorded a podcast episode about recognizing toxic partners that made implied references to me. It did not name me, but anyone who knew us could follow the dots. I decided not to respond. Serena did not respond either. We went for walks in the evening. She taught me about her photography projects. I cooked her simple dinners because she admired even my ordinary attempts. I did not know domestic peace could feel like this. We kept everything platonic for 2 weeks, even though the connection felt undeniable. Then, on a quiet Thursday night, security at Serena's building called to say a distressed woman was in the lobby claiming her stolen property was upstairs. We checked the camera feed. Renee, mascara streaked, holding a small cardboard box like a talisman. Serena told security not to let her up. Renee began shouting in the lobby that we were holding her grandmother's ashes hostage. Her grandmother is alive and well in Tampa. Security warned her. She refused to leave. They called the police. While she waited, she started a live video, telling viewers that she was trying to retrieve her belongings from her best friend who had stolen her fiancé. Her mother joined in the comments, writing, "Stay strong, baby." 2 officers arrived and began asking calm questions. "What property of yours is in this apartment?" one asked. "My emotional support hair straightener," Renee said. "A hoodie that is basically mine. 3 years of memories. My future." The officer blinked. "Ma'am, do you have any actual property upstairs?" She lifted her chin and said, "Yes, my fiancé." "Is he being held against his will?" the officer asked. "Yes," she said. "He is being manipulated. They told her to leave or be trespassed." She called them fascists. They escorted her to a squad car long enough to clear the lobby. The live video captured everything. Someone commented, "Did you not say you could replace him in 24 hours? It has been 2 weeks." Renee blocked a mid-rant. A few days later, my former roommate, Caleb, ran into Renee at a coffee shop. She gave another dramatic monologue about abandonment and used the word fiancé repeatedly. Caleb, who has a generous heart and a permanent blind spot for theatrics, mentioned that I had been planning to propose before the breakup. Renee's eyes gleamed with triumph. That afternoon, she posted messages asking for donations to heal from stolen dreams, listing her payment handles. People sent money. She told friends she would host a ceremony to marry herself as a declaration of independence. Invitations were designed. A registry was created. Karma made its entrance through a side door. Reggie, the man from her 24-hour replacement attempt, turned out to be married. His wife, Natalie, found the videos. She decided not to confront Renee directly. Instead, she signed Renee up for every sales presentation and coaching webinar in a 50-mile radius. Renee's phone and email were flooded with invitations to buy oils, leggings, nutritional supplements, and financial freedom. Natalie also found out where Renee worked and sent the employer screenshots of Renee's daytime posts and a live video from Serena's lobby incident. A performance improvement plan arrived within days. Serena and I made our relationship official the same week. We did not announce anything publicly. We simply acknowledged it and began to live accordingly. We went to the farmer's market on Saturdays and argued amiably about the best tomatoes. We listened to jazz records on quiet nights and tried to learn the steps to a classic slow dance in the kitchen. We made a small life that felt correct. Renee found out anyway. Her other model friend, Erica, saw us at the market holding hands and reported back. Renee created a 42-slide presentation about why Serena had been toxic for years. She sent it to their entire friend group. The presentation included screenshots of a 2019 conversation where Serena had told her a certain haircut was not flattering, a chart tallying every perceived betrayal including, "did not like my post fast enough," a timeline suggesting Serena had plotted to steal me from the first day, and poorly edited photographs of Serena with random men. There was also a slide titled, "Why I'm Actually the Victim," with 15 bullet points. Someone leaked the deck. People laughed at the absurdity, but also noticed that Renee had accidentally admitted to lying about several details, including exaggerating her income, saying I was unskilled to make other men feel special, inventing a trust fund, and forging a recommendation letter for her job. Her manager saw the document. The performance improvement plan became a termination letter. 6 months passed. Renee staged a ceremony to marry herself. 12 people attended, including her mother, her sister Jasmine, and a handful of acquaintances who were drawn to spectacle. She wore a $3,000 gown she could not afford and made vows to herself about never settling for less than she deserved. She had a first dance alone to a pop song about moving on. Her cousin, the disc jockey, posted clips that spread widely for reasons she did not intend. I did not comment. I did not watch more than a few seconds. I turned back to Serena in the quiet of our apartment. Meanwhile, Renee could not seem to replace me. Every man lasted at most 2 weeks. Her social media became a graveyard of deleted couple photographs. She would post a picture of hand-holding in a cafe with the caption, "Finally found my king," and then delete it within days. There was Damien, who pitched digital currency while ignoring basic math. There was Maurice, who flirted with her sister in the comments. There was Kendrick, who brought his mother to a third date and explained that it proved his sense of family. There was a man named Phoenix who spoke only in motivational quotations. And there was a 22-year-old content creator named Jalen who called her Annie during an intimate moment and then asked for brand collaboration introductions. Serena and I moved in together. We adopted a cat named Dumpling who decided I was acceptable, but Serena was essential. We started an herb garden on the balcony, basil, rosemary, mint, and Serena made a small frame sign that simply said water, sunlight, patience. We cooked more. We learned to relax. We learned that apologies could be short and sincere. We learned that dishes could be a shared act rather than a chore battleground. It felt like stepping into a different life and finding that everything finally fit. Renee learned about our move the strangest way. Serena updated her address for a professional directory, and the change surfaced in a business network feed. The meltdown arrived in my mother's inbox. A 6-page email about how I was throwing away my future and how Renee was willing to forgive me if I returned to the right path. My mother forwarded it to me with the dry note. This young woman needs therapy. Also, please bring Serena to Sunday dinner. Love you. Exactly 24 months after Renee declared she could replace me in a day, she texted me from yet another new number. I know you will read this. I am getting married next month to a surgeon who drives a Tesla and has a home in the hills. I won. I did not respond. I was curious, though, so I checked public information. The surgeon was a first-year medical student named Aaron. The Tesla was a 2015 model with well over 100,000 miles. The home in the hills was a pool house belonging to his parents. If she was happy, I wished her well. Serena and I had our own news. We had gotten engaged 2 weeks before. A simple proposal at the farmer's market where we had our first real date. We did not blast it to the world. We told our families and close friends, and that was enough. Carolyn eventually called me, not to congratulate us, but to ask if Serena and I would consider a double wedding to save money for everyone involved. I laughed so hard I dropped my phone. Carolyn, I said, still smiling, your daughter said she could replace me in 24 hours. It has been 24 months. She bristled. People make mistakes, Jordan. This is not a mistake, I said. This is the consequence of believing people are disposable. She hung up without saying goodbye. The planning for Renee and Aaron's wedding continued in fits and starts. Serena learned through colleagues that Aaron was a kind person, earnest, hardworking, perhaps too trusting. We hoped they would be good for each other. It would have been a relief. Then Jasmine messaged Serena quietly. Renee had told Aaron that I had stolen a family heirloom engagement ring from her apartment, a 3-carat diamond that had allegedly belonged to their grandmother, and that I was refusing to return it out of spite. In truth, I had returned the ring I had purchased for Renee to the jeweler months ago and used part of that refund toward Serena's ring, a modest, elegant band that fit Serena's hand the way a soft light fits a room. Aaron, wanting to do right, bought a replacement ring he could afford, a 0.5-carat stone, and went into debt for it after Renee insisted she needed at least 2 carats to heal from the trauma of what I had done. Jasmine had kept quiet until she saw Aaron's financial strain. Their grandmother, very much alive in Jacksonville, wore her rings daily. There was no family heirloom. Jasmine sent Serena screenshots of Renee crying to Carolyn about the tiny ring and how she deserved better after everything she had endured. The lie surfaced. Aaron confronted Renee. The wedding plan stalled, then collapsed entirely. Renee returned to dating applications with a biography that read, "No time for games." Previous engagement stolen by a bitter ex and his homewrecker girlfriend. Seeking a real man. I thought that might be the end, but endings have a way of lingering. One afternoon, as Serena edited a set of portraits at her desk and I chopped vegetables for dinner, my phone buzzed again from a number I did not recognize. It was Renee. She wrote, "I know you are reading. You think you won, but you did not. I will have the life I deserve." I looked at Serena as she worked, her face calm in the glow of her monitor, and I put the phone face down. "Do you want to block that one too?" she asked without turning. "Yes," I said. "But first I will cook you dinner." Sundays at my mother's became an anchor. On the first Sunday Serena came, my mother pulled me aside as Serena laughed with my cousins about a photograph of Dumpling in a paper bag. "You look rested," my mother said. "Your shoulders are finally down." I smiled. "I feel like I am returning to myself," I said. "Keep that," she told me. "Hold it like something fragile and true." Serena kept a photograph on our refrigerator from the morning after we first slept under the same roof without fear. It was the sunlight on our balcony, falling across the basil leaves. She said she wanted to remember that peace is not an accident. It is a set of choices made consistently. When work stressed me, I would step outside and breathe in the scent of rosemary. I had never understood before how much a small plant can steady a person. Once, on a rainy evening, Serena asked, "When did you know that we were going to be us?" I considered it. "When you handed me your phone with those messages," I said. "Not because they hurt, but because you trusted me with something heavy, and you did not make it my job to fix it." She nodded. "I knew when you packed in silence. Not to be dramatic, because you were done." Several of Serena's friends had stayed distant at first, wary of betraying Renee by accepting me. Over time, that circle softened. She and Erica repaired their friendship after Erica apologized for repeating gossip during the early days of the breakup. They invited us to a cookout at a park near the river, and As we sat on a picnic blanket, eating grilled corn and laughing about the way dumpling me out at pigeons, I thought about how complicated the web of relationships can be and how much grace it takes to untangle them without ripping them apart. Once, Renee reached out to Serena with an apology message that did not use the word sorry. It was several paragraphs long and included the phrase, "I forgive you for hurting me." Serena read it, set her phone down, and said to me, "That is not an apology. We'll let it pass." Some people confuse absolution with erasure and contrition with performance. Serena did not want vengeance. She wanted quiet. It was incredible how loud quiet can be when you have lived too long in noise. I ran into Caleb again outside a cafe. He kicked a crack in the sidewalk and said, "I'm sorry I told her about the ring." "It is over," I said. "You did not mean harm." He looked relieved and added, "She is telling people now that you and Serena ruined her life." I shrugged. "We did not ruin anything," I said. "We stopped participating." He shook his head, then smiled. "You look happy, man." "I am," I said. "Take care of yourself." Christopher, my cousin and manager, called me into a video chat one afternoon. "I know you usually avoid office gossip," he said, "but I want you to know your work has been strong, and I am proud of how you handle the chaos." He tapped his desk. "Some people would have flamed out online. You chose the boring path." I laughed. "Boring is underrated." He grinned. "Keep being underrated." The night I proposed to Serena, we were at the farmer's market where we had taken our first easy breath together. I had her favorite flowers wrapped in paper, and I had asked a violinist to play a simple melody around the corner. Serena heard it and lifted an eyebrow. "You plan a soundtrack?" she asked, teasing. I said, "I plan a life." I told her that I wanted to spend the rest of my days cooking with her, holding umbrellas together in sudden rain, and listening to her talk about light and angles, and the way a lens can tell the truth. She said yes with tears on her cheeks, and I held her hand so carefully you would have thought it was made of something sacred and rare. We visited Serena's father in Baltimore and told him the news. He hugged us both and then made us sandwiches too large for any reasonable person to eat. "Love each other every day," he said. "Not with fireworks. With consistency." On the train home, Serena leaned her head on my shoulder and fell asleep, and I watched our reflection in the window, two people who had chosen each other on purpose. When Jasmine told us Aaron had ended the engagement, Serena and I sat on the balcony quietly for a while. "I hope he is all right," Serena said. "He will be," I answered. "He seems steady." "I also hope," Serena said, "that Renee someday understands what she keeps doing." "I do not think understanding is guaranteed," I said, "but growth is always possible." Serena nodded. "Let us keep our garden thriving." Renee did not stop reaching for a narrative that made her feel safe. She posted long explanations about betrayal in professional spaces when she learned Aaron was dating someone in his study group. She changed her hairstyles and her captions, modeling reinvention without substance. I stopped looking except when it crossed my path in ways that could not be avoided. Curiosity is a habit like any other. You learn to break it by building better ones. One afternoon, I returned home to find Serena photographing the steam rising from a pot of pasta. "It is gorgeous," she said, reviewing the image. "Heat and motion, ordinary magic." I laughed. "You can make anything look like a poem." She shook her head. "It is already a poem. I'm just paying attention." I often think about the night Renee said she could replace me in a day. She was not wrong that many people would line up to be chosen by someone as outwardly striking as she is. What she did not understand is that there is a difference between being wanted and being known. If you cannot see people as individuals with their own histories and needs, you do not date them. You cast them. You audition them for roles. And when the scene ends, you replace them like props. That is not love. It is inventory. The night before our small engagement celebration with family, Serena and I sat on the floor of our living room, making place cards by hand. She wrote each name in neat, careful script and told me a story about the first time she used a camera that did not belong to her. "I borrowed it from a teacher who took a chance on me," she said. "I was terrified I would break it. I took 2 photographs and felt like the world opened a door I did not know existed." She handed me a card with Jordan written on it and smiled. "Here is your seat." My mother pulled Serena aside after dinner and said, "When he is quiet, he is thinking about how to fix a problem before it breaks. When he is loud, he is trying to make everyone comfortable." If he starts to make jokes, he is probably anxious. If he starts to clean, he is very anxious. If you tell him directly what you need, he will try his best to give it. Serena nodded, attentive. And what does he do when he is content? She asked. My mother smiled. He cooks too much food and insists you eat seconds. It rained on a Tuesday, and we decided to dance in the kitchen. Not with perfect steps, but with intention. Serena laughed when I spun her and almost slipped in my socks. Careful, she said. I am fragile porcelain. No, I answered, steadying us both. You are forged steel dressed as porcelain. She rested her forehead against mine. We're going to be all right, she said. We already are, I said. When I think about the last 2 years, there is no triumph in me. There is only relief. Renee's 24 hours ran out 730 days ago. It turns out that time does not heal everything. It only tells you what mattered and what did not. It shows you whether a person is growing or just performing growth. It shows you if you're telling the truth to yourself or repeating a script that never fit. Serena met Jasmine for coffee one afternoon. They sat by the window and spoke quietly for an hour. When Serena came home, she said, Jasmine is kind. She is weary, but kind. She keeps trying to hold family together. I nodded. Sometimes that is the hardest job. Serena put a hand on my shoulder. She also said, Renee, checks your profile daily. Serena added. I exhaled. Then here is my message, carried by the air. I said in my head. The hours passed. The world kept turning. Please let it. On the day we picked up Serena's ring from the jeweler, the clerk polished it and held it in her glove palm. It is beautiful, she said. It looks like it belongs to her. Serena smiled. It does, she said. We walked outside into sunlight. Serena held her hand up, not to show the ring to the world, but to watch the way the stone caught the light and returned it softly. It is enough, she said. It is exactly enough, I agreed. We made a guest list for our wedding. Family, the friends who stayed, the friends who returned after they realized the truth, a handful of colleagues who had become something more than co-workers. We decided on a small venue with trees and a simple arch and enough space for people to talk without shouting. We decided on no microphones, no grand gestures, no scripted speeches. We wanted people to feel like they had been invited into a home, even if it was a garden. Occasionally, I catch my reflection and do not recognize the man who looks rested, who smiles with his entire face instead of only his mouth. It is a quiet shock. Then dumpling weaves around my ankles and Serena calls from the other room asking whether basil goes better with lemon or with garlic on roasted fish. And I remember, life can be ordinary, and that is its blessing. Ordinary is where you notice that someone took out the trash without being asked. It is where you notice that someone learned your coffee order in your silence. Renee once told me that love was proof of status. If someone like her chose you, it meant you were extraordinary by association. But love that is real is not an accessory. It is a practice. It is an agreement you renew every day to see each other as human beings, not as evidence. I wish someone had taught her that when she was young. I wish someone had told her that beauty is not a currency you have to spend constantly to feel valuable. Aaron sent a short message to me through a mutual acquaintance. Tell him thank you for not responding publicly when everything was falling apart. Tell him I'm all right. I told the acquaintance to pass along that I wished him well and that I hoped his new person was tender with him. I'm in it. He has his life to build. We all do. One evening, Serena opened a letter from an organization where she had applied for a grant for a portrait series of hair salons in historically black neighborhoods across America. She read the first line, covered her mouth, and then handed me the letter. She had been awarded the grant. We danced again in our kitchen, this time on purpose, and I joked that we would become experts before the wedding. We already are, she said, and this time it felt true. People sometimes ask how I did not see the red flags with Renee sooner. The answer is unsatisfying. I did see them. I told myself that love meant accepting flaws generously. It does, but only when the flaws are the ordinary humankind. There is a difference between imperfect habits and fundamental character issues. One can be softened by patience. The other requires a transformation that cannot be forced from the outside. You cannot love someone hard enough to make them see other people as real. Serena and I took a small road trip down the coast and stopped at a quiet stretch of beach. We walked along the waterline while pelicans skimmed low over the waves. Do you ever think about who you were 2 years ago? She asked. Yes, I said. He thought endurance was the same as commitment. What does he think now? She asked. He thinks commitment is saying yes to what is good and no to what is not, clearly and without theater. Serena squeezed my hand. Good, she said. Let us keep choosing well. We went back to the farmer's market where I proposed and bought a bouquet from the same vendor. The florist recognized us and said, "Back for another important day?" Serena tilted her head at me, smiling. "Every day can be an important day," I said. The florist nodded. That is the secret. The ordinary days hold the world together. If Renee reads this message carried on the wind of mutual acquaintances and the quiet channels of curiosity, I hope she learns to stop counting. The 24 hours ended long ago. The calendar kept turning. The measure that matters now is not how quickly she can find a replacement, but how slowly she can learn to see. People are not roles. They are not upgrades. They are not evidence. They are complicated and full of private constellations that you can only trace if you sit with them in the dark and listen. As for me, I will water our garden and watch Dumpling fall asleep in a patch of sunlight on the floor. I will cook dinner for my fiancée, Serena, who sees me as a person and not a placeholder. There will be no slide decks. There will be no lobby performances. There will be no grand policies for how to feel. There will be basil, rosemary, and mint, a sharp knife, a clean pan, and two people who chose each other and keep choosing. The doorbell rings. It is Jerome, dropping off a set of old vinyl records he found for me at a yard sale. We put one on the turntable and let the horns fill the room with something warm and old and generous. Serena steps into the living room and slides her hand into mine. "Ready?" she asks. "Always," I say. We dance, without an audience, under our ordinary ceiling, in our ordinary home, with our lives remaining ours. If you enjoyed this story, please like, comment, and share this video with your friends. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a powerful story drop.